George, it was an historic moment. President Obama saying in our exclusive interview that he is now in favor of same-sex marriage. He endorsed civil unions, but opposed gay marriage during the 2008 campaign. And for the past year and a half, he has indicated that his feelings might have changed, especially in light of recent comments from top people in his administration. So yesterday at the White House, I directly asked the president this question. Mr. President, are you still opposed to same-sex marriage?
I've been going through an evolution on this issue. And I had hesitated on gay marriage, in part because I thought civil unions would be sufficient. But I have to tell you that over the course of several years, as I talk to friends and family and neighbors, when I think about members of my own staff who are in incredibly committed monogamous relationships, same-sex relationships, who are raising kids together. At a certain point, I've just concluded that for me personally, it is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married. And I continue to believe that this is an issue that is going to be worked out at the local level because historically this has not been a federal issue.
But Mr. President, it's not being worked out on the state level. We saw that Tuesday in North Carolina, the 30th state to in essence ban gay marriage.
What I'm saying is that different states are coming to different conclusions. I think it's important to recognize that folks who feel very strongly that marriage should be defined narrowly as between a man and a woman. Many of them are not coming at it from a mean-spirited perspective. A bunch of them are friends of mine, pastors and people who I deeply respect.
Especially in the black community.
Absolutely.
It is very
right.
a difficult conversation to have.
Absolutely. But I think it's important for me to say to them that as much as I respect them, as much as I understand where they're coming from, when I meet gay and lesbian couples, for me, I think it just has tipped the scales in that direction.
An historic and controversial announcement, he says, is happening now, in part because of Vice President Biden's revelation this weekend that he was absolutely comfortable with same-sex marriage. Did he jump the gun a little bit here?
I had already made a decision that we were going to probably take this position before the election and before the convention. He probably got out a little bit over his skis, but out of generosity of spirit.
So you're not upset with anybody?
Would I've preferred to have done this in my own way, in my own terms, without, I think, there being a lot of notice to everybody? Sure, but all's well that ends well.
The president says one inspiration for his change of heart was close to home.
You know, Malia and Sasha, they've got friends whose parents are same-sex couples. It wouldn't dawn on them that somehow their friends' parents would be treated differently. And frankly, that's the kind of thing that prompts a change of perspective. You know, not wanting to somehow explain to your child why somebody should be treated differently when it comes to the eyes of the law.
But what about critics charging this move is just about politics, looking for an edge in a tight race against Mitt Romney? You and others in your administration have been critical of him changing positions, feeling that he's doing it for political gain. You realize there are going to be some people that are going to be saying the same of you about this. Do you see where some people might consider that the same thing?
I think it'd be hard to argue that somehow this is something that I'd be doing for political advantage, because frankly, the politics, it's not clear how they cut. But I'm not going to be spending most of my time talking about this because frankly, my job as president right now, my biggest priority is to make sure that we're growing the economy, that we're putting people back to work.
And on that note, a new turf battle in the campaign. The president taking aim at Romney over Detroit's resurgence. Mitt Romney just recently said that he deserves the credit for the revival of the U.S. auto industry. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think this is one of his etch-a-sketch moments. I don't think anybody takes that seriously. People remember his position, which was, let's let Detroit go bankrupt. So had we followed his advice at that time, GM and Chrysler would have gone under and we would have lost probably 1 million jobs throughout the Midwest.
Mother's Day. Sasha, Malia, do you have plans for Mrs. Obama?
I'm sure some aspect of it will be handmade. Malia and Sasha it's sort of like an arms race in terms of who can make the bigger, more creative card.
You're not going to leave Mrs. Obama on Air Force One again on Mother's Day or anything like that.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I kind of did.
Oh, it was embarrassing.
Where's he going?
But you went back and got her.
I did. I thought she was behind me.
Right.
See, she gave me so much grief.
The final question, since
Sure.
you talk about that. Did you discuss this with Mrs. Obama, the same-sex marriage issue?
She feels the same way that I do. We were both practicing Christians, and obviously this position may be considered to put us at odds with the views of others. But when we think about our faith, the thing at root that we think about is not only Christ sacrificing himself on our behalf, but it's also the golden rule. I figure the more consistent I can be in being true to those precepts, the better I'll be as a dad and a husband, and hopefully the better I'll be as a president.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And George, you know full well what it's like to get a call from the White House. We got a call on Tuesday saying the president wanted to talk. No guidelines, no real indication of what he wanted to discuss. We knew that this issue was very much in the news cycle because of things that had been said recently, but had no idea he would go as far as he did.
But I have to say, watching this, and I've asked the president about gay marriage several times the last couple of years, he was always pretty uncomfortable given that answer about the evolution. He seemed at peace with the answer yesterday.
He was very comfortable in talking about it. And again, we talked about other issues. We talked about terrorism, Mitt Romney, politics. It was a full-range interview. But of course, this is the moment, and this is the topic that really got everybody's attention.
And it is right in the middle of a presidential campaign.